Good night, everyone. Tonight, God is good and God is good all the time. My name is J. Spirits. I'm here to give you a word and some news on tonight. First we're gonna start with retirement benefit for Social Security. The age is now is 62. So you can start receiving your Social Security retirement benefit as early as 62. You can apply at 62. To get your full benefit, your age is 70 years old. But they're trying to raise it to 67 years old. So the age now is 62, but they're trying to raise it to 67. And I request they remain 62 because the way things is going now, a lot of people's not making it to see 60 years old. So if you raise it to 67, pretty much no one will be able to be applying for Social Security. So I say I request for the age for Social Security to remain at 62. I think 62 would be a good age to receive your Social Security benefits. You know, it's just too much killing, too much killing. To the rate to raise it to 67, no one will be able to even apply for Social Security or even reach that age. So now I want to talk to you. Now I want to talk to you about the word Bible study. We didn't do Bible study yesterday. I had put some out that was placed on my heart. The title gonna be Israel fight the remaining Canaanites. They're still fighting this city. You remember Joshua got old. God was like, we still got land to conquer. And so God had placed Judah to be in charge of going to try to start, fighting these cities to continue on getting city. Now before they entered their land, God had told them you have to drive everyone out. Don't leave no one out. You have to drive everyone out. But we're gonna see how if the Israelite listen to God's command. So now this is after the death of Joshua. So they still have remaining Canaanites to fight for the land. Now the Israelite asked the Lord, which one of us, going to fight against the Canaanites? So the Lord answered, Judah should go up, and I have given the land into your hands. God gonna always start it out because He gonna always go ahead of you. So the people of Israel had finally entered and taken control of the land promised to their ancestors through God's strength. Because you remember God told them, you only get in this land because of your ancestors. So the Israelite, so their work was not yet finished. God like your work is not finished. Canaanites are so big, so they got to conquer city after city to be finished. So facing spiritual challenges was more difficult, but soon after Joshua died, Israel began to lose its firm grip on the land. Cause you remember when Joseph was there, Joshua was there. Joshua kept them in land. Joshua kept on telling them, had them to keep on keeping God. Keeping God in your life, keep God in your mind. He kept them in line about God. So Joshua was a great commander. So people miss his spiritual leadership. Because he really was attached to God. That was a good leader, spiritual leader. That he was. So even more than his military skills, for he had kept the people, he kept them focused on God. And his purpose. That was Joshua's purpose to lead them to the promised land. He led them to the promised land, and he always kept them focused on God. So during the crisis of leadership, Israel had to learn. That matter how powerful and wise the current leader was, their real leader was God. So they have to realize, they're like the Joshua, they're like the Moses. Both of them were great leaders. But then at the end of the day, you have to realize that God is the real leader. He the real leader. So they have read that good. They realize that. So we often focus our hope and confidence on some influencing leader. Failing to realize that in reality it is God who is our command. Julius said, Canaanites and the Israelite, they come up with us into the territory to fight against the Canaanites. See, they got to fight against them. And you remember, they they're powerful, they're tall, they're strong, you know. And at first, their other ancestors, they didn't even want to go conquer the land because they was just so big and so tall. So Julia attacked, the Lord gave the Canaanites into their hands, and they struck down thousand of men, you know, and so they was there, they found Bezan, and he fought against him. That was the king, and putting him out of the Canaanites, but they chased him. Now he escaped, so they're fighting the people in Canaanite, but they had this king, he ran. And so the Israelite had chased him. And when they caught him, when they caught him, they cut off his thumb, then they cut off his toe, so no the thumb, no toe, but they made it conquer the people unable. They did that to make him unable to fight them ever again. A soldier with no thumb cannot swing a weapon, and a soldier with no big toe, cannot run, so as well as making the soldier unfit to fight, the practice may have had at least some background in detail in defending the people. Now, see, they did that, so they won't never ever, be able to fight. With the hand, they ain't gonna be able to press on no weapon. But the toe, they won't be able to run behind. So Aaron and his son was concentrated as the priest when some of the blood of the sacrifices was placed, on the right ear, and the right thumb, and the right big toe. So they're trying to set the example that Aaron and his son did that back then. So the king, this king who ran and got attacked like this, he took his punishment, and strived and mentioned the number of the defeated king that he had rendered by humiliating them further by making them eat the scraps under the table. See, the Israelites, they ain't playing. They ain't playing. So now the Israelites, they cut their thumb, their big toe off, to pick up got them eating the scraps under the table. So now God had paid me back from what they did to them. So Judah went down to fight against the Canaanites living in the hill, country, the country in the western foothill. So they advanced. They advanced against the Canaanites, living in Huron and defeated. From there, they advanced against the people living in the land. And Clarence said, I will give my daughter. So they had the people living in the land and Canaanites who they supposed to take out. So he was saying, he was saying, Clarence said, I'll give my daughter, in marriage to the man who attacked and captured Huron shepherd. So now Clarence said, I'll give you my daughter if y'all capture this person who I want y'all to capture. So Clarence start the man who captured the man, and I will give my daughter. Now he wouldn't have give his daughter up, for someone to catch someone for him. And you remember a while back, Lot did the same thing. The people came down and want the two men. He said, well, I'll give you my daughters. So I don't know what's going on with them. They're just willing to give their daughters up for different situations. So one day when she came, she urged him, to ask her father for a field. Now, now he took took his daughters to marry someone, and now the husband already, ask your dad about the field. So now she asking him about the field, and when she got off her donkey, Clara asked her, and said, what can I do for you? He knows she wants something. So she replied, do me a favor. Since you had given me the land and now her father, asked to give me also the spring of the water. Now she asked him for the field, and Clara's daughter asked to give me also the spring of the water. So Clara give her the upper and the lower spring. So see, most fathers, they're gonna spare their daughters. Wherever they ask for. So this same event is recorded in Joshua. Was the one original spy. He was original spy. Who went out to the promised land to spy out and see what was going on. The promised land. So encourage the people. He encouraged the people. To conquer it. Because the other man, that go to show they had the other man went along with Joshua and Clara. But they came just like Joshua said. I saw them people tall and big. But I wasn't gonna come back and tell the Israelites that. We can conquer this land. And that's just what they're doing. So the offspring of Moses, father-in-law, they went up from the city with the people of Judah to live among the inhabitants of the desert in the north. So the men of Judah went up, followed the Israelites and attacked the Canaanites and destroyed the city. But now they are still taking city by city. So the Lord was with them, and they took possession of the hill of the country, but they was unable to drive out the people out because they had carriers and fitting with iron, and now we see that they cannot drive them out. They were these people that's in the land. Some of them they refuse to leave. They refuse to leave. And they couldn't drive them out because they're scrapped with all kind of weapon and iron and all this. Because remember, they was big and kind of. So the Israelite could not drive them out. But as Moses had promised, Hebron was given to Clara. So who draw from them 3 sons. So the Israelite could not defeat the most powerful weapon, of today. The Israelite foot shoulder soldier, was powerless. When spraying iron carried, and these people had iron, all kind of powerful weapon. So this is why the Israelite refers to fight in the hill with carriers and couldn't rent it. So now they're still, conquering city by city, sending spies out. So the spies saw the man coming out, to them, and they said, show us, how to get to the city, and we will see that you be treated very well. Now this man here, meeting them halfway, and this man telling him, show me how to get to this city, and if you do, I will treat you kindly. So they asked, show us how to get to the city. So now remember God had told them, you got to drive everyone out. You got to drive everyone out. You can't leave no one in. Don't make no treaty with nobody. You have to drive everyone out. So now God told them to drive everyone out. And they saw, they showed this man how to get to the city. No, it's their city. God don't want nobody else in that city. God blessing them, and God give that land to them. It's supposed to be only for the Israelite. So the Israelite put the sword on them in the city, but he spared the man and his whole family. That's the man who came to them. Now they weren't supposed to let nobody else stay in it, but these people had determined to not leave. So they did not drive out the people there. Surrounding settlements for the Canaanites was determined to live in that land. So now the Israelites became strong. They become strong now. and pressed through the Canaanites with hard labor. Now, instead of them driving them out, they're going to give them hard labor, but did not drive them out completely. So the Canaanites continued living on the land among the Israelites, so they could not drive them out. So they went on and let them live on that land. So the Ammonites were determined to stay in that land, and they too were pressed into forced labor. The boundary of the Ammonites were from the Scorpion Pass to Salmon and beyond. So now you got the Ammonites, you got the Canaanites. So you got both of these kings and the rest of their crew determined to live on that land. They refused to leave. So the tribe after tribe failed to drive the evil Canaanites from their land, and they didn't follow through, and completely they did not obey God's command. They've been fighting. They've been fighting for a long time, and they're tired. So they probably were like, okay, we're going to let it. Did they also finish? So they're getting tired. They've been fighting for a long time, trying to get to the promised land. And then when they get to the promised land, they still got to fight to get the people out. So eventually, they getting tired, and forgetting God's command. God said drive all of them out. So now God's command was to drive out everyone out the city for you can possess that land. So now we see the Israelites, they were scared, because the people they had weapons, they had all kind of iron weapon on them and stuff, so they got scared, but they were strong, they gonna get them hard labor, but they could not drive them out completely, so we see the Israelites was scared, all the powerful weapon and the iron that they had on them, but they were strong enough to get them hard labor. So God don't want them to leave no one in that land, because down the line they will turn against them, and also they will have them worshiping other gods, and that's what they was doing in the land already. That's why God said you gotta drive everyone out, the woman, the children, everyone, because God said all of them was on that land serving all kind of image of false God. So drive out what they were supposed to do. Before ever entering the land of Canaan, God promised the Israelites that He would drive the Canaanites out, of the land and give it wholly to them. But the Israelite allowed to remain. The very nation that God had promised, that was the very nation. That was the first nation God had told them. That's the main one. I need y'all to drive them out. They're doing wickedness. They're serving other gods. So there was the main city that God had wanted them to drive everyone out. But they let them remain. Promise to completely drive them out. But now, instead of them driving them out, they get on false labor. You know, just you scared to drive them out, but then you turn around and give them false labor. So the promise to completely drive out. Now, instead of driving them out, they give had forced them into slave labor. But they continue to slave labor when they were supposed to drive them out. So they want to be strong enough to get them strong labor, but they ain't strong enough to get them out the land. God said drive all of them out that land. So that's all the word I have for you tonight. So we talk about the retirement benefits for Social Security. The age to apply for Social Security, the age is 62. They're trying to raise it to 67. I request for the age to stay at 62 because you have so much killing, and no one gonna last to 67 years old. So I request to have it remain at 62. So so we also talked about the Israelites still fighting to conquer all the rest of their lands. So that's the Canaanite. That's the main city that God said, make sure you drive everyone out because they done wickedness. But then you got the Israelite, you know, you got the Canaanite determined to not leave, but then the Israelite gonna let them stay. Gonna let them stay, and that's not good because down the line you're gonna get corrupted of what they doing, you know, or down the line they're gonna turn against you. So either one, God did not want them to stay in that land. He wanted them to leave. So we talked about they still fighting, conquering all the land so they can finally have rest. We also talked about the Social Security benefit plan, the age they're trying to change to 67. I would question it stay at 62, 62 years old. So that's all I have for you on today. Y'all have a blessed night, and I'll see y'all on the next video.